Hello everyone, welcome to the 12 days of Christmas. Christmas has always been my absolute favorite time of year. Although it doesn't really get cold here that often, I still enjoy it because it's a time for family to get together. Let's get into what you'll need to follow along. Of course, you're going to need a pencil, eraser, watercolor paper, watercolor paint, a brush. For watercolor paper, I'm using 100% cotton cold pressed paper, and I am cutting them to postcard size. For paints, I'm using Holbein artist grade watercolor paints. Throughout each video, I will be labeling what paint I'm using at that time. For a paintbrush, I'm just using a small round. This is a number 4. Of course, you'll also need 2 cups of water, one for clean and one for dirty. Optional is paper tape and a clipboard. Additionally, I will be putting all the outlines on Patreon for download. So if you want to support me, you can go over to my Patreon and sign up as a member. Then you'll get all the outlines at the same time as the video comes out. All right, thank you so much. Let's get into painting. Hi everyone, welcome to day 7. Wow, I can't believe we are already on the other half of the 12 days of Christmas. The past 2 paintings were really fast, fun, and easy. This one we're going to take it a little bit slow again and have fun painting this Christmas gnome. So the colors today are red, black, and maybe a little bit of burnt umber. Let's start with painting just the red, light watery wash over our shoes. Just the first layer. And then we can also go in and paint the stripes on that hat. Alright, so for the beard, we're going to take black and we're going to water it down with a lot of water. That will make it look more like a gray. And we're just gonna paint over everything at first. We grab some water here to make it a little bit lighter up here. Yes, if the red bleeds into the gray, that is perfectly fine. There we go, looks great. So while it's still wet, what we're going to do is take slightly more saturated black and drop it in on the bottom parts that are a lot darker. Try to mimic the hair. So the hair is kind of moving in this direction. And then for his little nose, we're going to take rose madder and a tiny bit of yellow ochre, mix them together till it looks like a kind of skin color. And I know it's still wet, but let's just paint over his nose anyway. Might bleed, but that's okay. All right, very good. So let's take a really watery black and paint the other stripes of the hat. Seem to have made a mistake there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint like that and then wait for it to dry and fill that with red. Let's take our light red, fill in that stripe there. Looks pretty good. All right, with that, the first layer of the gnome is done. Let's wait for it to dry and then we'll go in and paint some of those details. Our gnome is looking great, super cute. Let's move on to the next layer. Let's start with the beard. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a kind of flicking action and just mimic that beard, the hair of the beard. And it's pretty dark completely down here. As it gets closer to the feet, let's try to get a really saturated black. Just drop it in on the very bottom here. Now let's grab our red. So I think what we're going to do is put some burnt umber, mix it with red to darken that, and use that for the red of our feet and the red of the hat. It's still quite watery, that's okay. So now I want to go in a little bit darker with this red. So you see when you mix brown, it darkens it and it deepens it as well. It's kind of light on this side. That's why we're leaving that part out to make it look like the light is coming from the left side. There we go. And we can take our skin color, layer there. Smooth out the boots. All right, let's go in with the gray for the hat. Let's start in the middle because I believe that's more dry over there. All right, we're gonna wait for this to dry off and then go in, erase some of the pencil lines and paint a bit more detail. We're also going to try to create that light effect in the background of the kind of bokeh look. I think it's gonna look really nice. All right, so it's completely dry to the touch. I also took some time to erase out some of those pencil marks. We're going to go in with the dark black. First, once again, with the beard, let's try to go in and add another layer of detail to really sell the hair and bearded effect. A bit darker here in the middle, slightly darker around the nose. There we go. So it looks like there's a shadow on the nose. And we're going to take the black, just try to paint that shadow, which makes it look like the hat is 3D and has a bit of depth. There we go. So just create a little line there for that. Maybe we want to make the shoes a little bit darker. There we go. And then let's paint the shadow on the ground. And something like that. Just clear water to blend it out. Okay, so here comes the hard part. What we're gonna do is create that bokeh effect. And we're going to first start by painting clear water everywhere. We also want to get the edge of that hat back. Let's paint all over here. All right, we're gonna drop in that black. So first of all, we're just trying to get the edges of the hat back. All right, so it's pretty light, but now we need to go in a little bit darker. Some right here, right here, just right at the edge of that hat right there, right? Okay, so it's time for the bokeh effect. What we're gonna do is, with a damp brush, we're going to swipe out. A little bit here and there. Let's do one right here. Just kind of like spin your brush. There's a big one. Okay. I'm gonna go back in around it. Wipe it out. Right here. Right here. And there was one here, so let's take that black. Try to get a circle around it. Clean off your brush. Smooth out that edge. Okay, gonna take the rest of the black. Really paint a dark shadow. The table. Off your brush. Some darker here. Paint around, kind of make a circle there. There we go. It's not super obvious, but it's just enough. Let's blend this out a bit. It's just enough to make it look like there's a little bit of atmosphere in the background. Now, one thing that is kind of bothering me is that it's very black and red. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some yellow ochre, and we can see in the painting, it also has a little bit of orange in the back. So I'm just gonna grab a little bit and take a damp brush, smooth it out. And then suddenly it has this kind of visual interest right away. I'm really happy with this painting for day 7. I hope you enjoyed painting this Christmas gnome, and I'll see you in the next video.